Kevin Owens is legitimately frustrated with Monday Night Raw Creative. To the surprise of nobody, Sasha Banks is set to star in The Mandalorian, and Lana with her husband Miro threatened to leave social media. All this plus a little bit extra right here on Off The Script. Today's podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. You guys know I'm a big RPG fan. I grew up on RPGs, the Final Fantasies and the Chrono Triggers and the Dragon Quests of the world. I am a huge RPG fan. In today's market, it's very difficult to find a really good immersive RPG. That is until now. With almost 500 champions to collect and upgrade, endless artifacts to find, and billions of different teams to try out, Raid Shadow Legends has years of content. It's the first mobile game that really recaptures the magic of the games that I grew up on. Let me show you guys a little bit more of Raid. So let's go ahead and open out these shards. The thing in this game is that no matter if you get a good one or a bad one, they are still useful. If they are a good one, you can level them up and use them. If they're a bad one, you can sacrifice them in order to level up your good champions. In this shard, I opened up and got Skink. Now, he is part of the Lizard Man faction, and he has something called Withering Poison, which I think sounds great. He attacks one enemy and has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decrease defense debuff for 2 turns. Now, in the thick of the moment, in a heated battle, that is something that's going to come in very handy. So, what's new in Raid Shadow Legends for September 2020? Well, Raid is about to release a huge champion update, tweaking and rebalancing over 20 different champions to make the PvP aspect of Raid Shadow Legends even more competitive. And if it's not enough, the Forge is coming up. So now you could save time and start crafting top quality artifacts and competing right away. You guys can support my channel by downloading Raid Shadow Legends using my links down below. And if you're a new player, you guys can get an exclusive welcome pack that contains 50,000 silver, 50 gems, 5 mystery shards, 1 energy refill, 1 day XP boost, 1 clan boss key, and a free awesome champion, the Shaman. And as a side note, guys, you will find your extra rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Raid Shadow Legends, JD highly recommends it. Available now on iPhone, Android, and PC. And I want to thank them for supporting the podcast right here on Off The Script.
Delete! This is mine.
Alive with it. People still What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off The Script. I am JD from New York, and I'm bringing you the latest in WWE news and rumors. Sasha Banks is set to star in The Mandalorian on Disney+. She made a brief cameo in the new trailer of The Mandalorian Season 2, and the wrestling world is absolutely thrilled for one Sasha Banks. More and more WWE superstars are finding their way into Hollywood, sometimes long before they have finished up in the ring. Earlier this year, it was rumored that Sasha Banks would be joining the ranks, not in anything small time to kick off the non-wrestling part of her career either. The rumored part for the boss was one in the second season of The Mandalorian, and now that has become a reality. Months later, those rumors have been revealed to be true. A brand new trailer for the second season of the show dropped this week, and Banks is in it. Eagle-eyed wrestling fans spotted her almost immediately, and Sasha Banks appears briefly in a hooded cloak that you see there on screen while the Mandalorian tries to come to terms with what he needs to do with the child, aka Baby Yoda. Now, believe it or not, I have never watched one single solitary Star Wars movie or anything Star Wars related at all, ever. I think the only thing Star Wars related that I actually watched was the spoof that Family Guy did many, many years ago where they all played different parts in the Star Wars universe. That's the only thing Star Wars related that I ever watched. I know you're probably looking at me, everybody watching this video, probably looking at me like I'm a fucking geek. Or not really a geek because I don't really meddle in anything Star Wars, but I was always more of a Lord of the Rings type of guy, man. Always. I was more of a Star Trek type of guy. Star Wars, not so much, but we're not here to talk about my lack of Star Wars knowledge. And despite that, and despite the appearance being brief for Sasha Banks, I know Jesse's probably going to say something to me after he watches this video, that fucking clown. Despite the appearance being brief, it confirms that Banks will be on The Mandalorian, although her exact role is yet to be revealed. It also sent wrestling Twitter into a frenzy. It doesn't take much to send them into a fucking frenzy on social media. Not just with fans, but also Banks' peers who queued up to congratulate her. Kalisto actually tweeted Miss Banks and said, "Congratulations, amiga." And Kalisto is a very close friend with not only Sasha Banks, but Mikaze as well. He offered up his congratulations shortly after the trailer had launched. AEW's Dustin Rhodes also got in on the praise, dubbing her already Jedi-worthy. And Xavier Woods, of course, the geek himself, Xavier Woods. Love me some Xavier Woods, man. Can't wait till he comes back to SmackDown on Fox. Was one of the first Twitter accounts that actually commented on the Mandalorian original post congratulating Sasha Banks. Wrestling fans don't have to wait long at all to see Banks in the Mandalorian, and providing she makes her appearance in the very first episode, the very first episode will start streaming on Disney Plus on October 30th, 2020. And like I said, even though her role remains under wraps, her eerie appearance in this trailer and vanishing act from TV, Banks will be looking to separate the child from its Mandalorian protector. Hopefully we can separate Bruce from SmackDown and Monday Night Raw Creative, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. Sasha Banks is going to bring even more eyes to an already popular Star Wars franchise, and it should be great, man. So if you're a fan of Sasha Banks, October 30th is the date. And this is great for Banks, man, because you gotta start thinking, I'm pretty sure she already has a plan B. Always start thinking of a plan B. This could be her way out of pro wrestling when she is indeed done with everything she wants to do. So good luck to Miss Banks, and I'm sure you guys out there who are fans of the franchise are gonna be keeping an eye out for Sasha Banks in The Mandalorian. Speaking of Sasha Banks on SmackDown, Sasha Banks is making her return to Friday Night SmackDown this week. This week. Already. WWE is not even letting the storyline play out with her injuries because, I mean, let's be honest, they need her back on television, and that's not even her fault. That is the negligence of WWE Creative when it comes to booking the women's division on Monday and Friday night. All I ask, if you're already promoting her to be back on SmackDown tomorrow, please, for the love of fucking Jesus Christ, put this woman in a neck brace. Have her come out and show us that she's actually injured selling the attack from Bayley 2 weeks ago. WWE, all they had to do was keep Sasha Banks out. This was the type of storyline, this was the type of injury angle, this was the type of post-match attack that could definitely keep somebody out for a couple of months to continue selling this feud and this storyline. And now what are you going to do? Now you're bringing Sasha Banks back in hopes that you get a match out of Banks and Bayley going into Hell in a Cell. And I mentioned this, no doubt about it, both Banks and Bayley will be fighting over the SmackDown Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. And if that is the case, Sasha Banks has to win it. Sasha Banks has to win it. I don't understand these people. I don't. On one hand, the match should be fucking great because Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch gave us a great Hell in a Cell match. Sasha Banks would be the only female to be in every single Hell in a Cell match that WWE has done for the women. So that's another accolade that she can put on her resume at the end of her career. But I don't understand these people. How are you going to have their first match in this big feud happen inside Hell in a Cell? This is the reason why Hell in a Cell is looked at by many people as a fucking pathetic embarrassment. The appeal of the entire thing is lost. Hell in a Cell is a blow-off to a feud. It is the final stage of a feud, and here you are possibly doing it in a string of matches, putting it first in a series of matches with Bayley and Sasha Banks. How on earth to Bruce and Vince and every other fucking clown in that circus called WWE, how does this make any sense whatsoever? Sasha Banks is going to have to win the Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. That's the only way out of it, unless you do the injury angle there and injure her for the rest of the year, and then she comes back and wins the Royal Rumble. I don't know how this makes any sense. So, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they got planned. We all know that they're headed towards Hell in a Cell, and this is perfect for Hell in a Cell, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the only reason why she's coming back and why WWE's bringing her back to television is because they fucking need her, because they don't have anybody else. God forbid we see more fucking Lacey Evans on TV. Sasha Banks and Bayley, man, WWE is ruining it right before our very eyes. Please, for the love of God, put that woman in a fucking neck brace on SmackDown Friday night. If not, man, oh man, the podcast on Friday night after the show is over, live on YouTube, is going to be an entertaining one, to say the least. Randy Orton has been one of the best things in 2020 for WWE on Monday Night Raw. And now Randy Orton is seemingly launching a clothing line, as you see here via his Instagram post as of a couple of days ago. The teases on Randy Orton's Instagram were a bunch of pictures and video regarding his new clothing line. Orton announced the launch of Slither to go with the Viper gimmick, as you guys see there, if you didn't know. So Randy Orton is the Viper, and he's naming his clothing line Slither. So there you go. Randy Orton wrote, "Here's what you've been waiting for. Follow at Slither Shop and comment on the last photo for your chance to win the collection." So far, the Slither Instagram page has images of hoodies and t-shirts. The items are not yet available for sale, but the official website says the items are coming soon. Good for Randy Orton, a businessman I see. If you guys are fans of Randy Orton and want to wear and rep his merchandise, there you go, man. Slither on Instagram. Go and follow that. And I guess you can become of the Viper Army or the Slither Army or whatever the fuck they're going on over there. So that's that, man. Randy Orton launches a new clothing line. If anybody was interested in that, and now you see why I do the fucking extras to give you this type of news, so I don't have to talk about this garbage on Saturday's podcast. So if you guys are wondering why JD's doing all these extras, there you go, man. Slither. Slither. As you guys know, Sonya Deville escaped a very scary situation when an obsessed Stalker fan tried to execute a plan he was concocting for 8 months prior to that. He entered her home with a backpack full of supplies to conduct a kidnapping. She called the police, and he was arrested before admitting to the cops that he wanted to hold Sonya Deville hostage. Philip Thomas II, this fucking geek, faces 3 felony charges in his trial. He's being charged with aggravated stalking, 3rd-degree felony, armed burglary of a dwelling, felony punishable by life in prison, and armed kidnapping, ransom, or reward or hostage, felony with possible life sentence, and criminal mischief, less than $200, 2nd-degree misdemeanor. Now, according to Heel by Nature, Thomas has pleaded not guilty on all charges through his public defender. His public defender submitted the plea to the court on September 3rd. This filing was made prior to Thomas's arraignment, which was scheduled for September 9th. Thomas has a virtual deposition hearing scheduled for October 12th. He will remain incarcerated. Good. He will remain incarcerated until that time comes. Sonya Deville was also granted a request to seal the case's records as she has received additional death threats after her stalker's arrest. She was granted an injunction on Philip Thomas II as well. Not guilty, folks. This guy is not guilty. But what else did you expect him to do? Like we didn't see the fucking texts and the tweets, and his whole fucking Twitter wall was a mural to Sonya Deville. Are you fucking serious? Then the Instagram messages from the same IP address. I don't know who the fuck that was on camera. That was clearly him on camera. I mean, this guy is in deep shit. This guy's fucked. And rightfully so. Good. I just found it funny and I wanted to talk about this. If you guys didn't hear this story, he pleads not guilty. I want to see how you convinced the judge that wasn't you on her security cam, you fucking geek. Give me a break, not guilty, man. I hope this guy gets absolutely everything that is coming to him because it'll teach him a fucking lesson. He'll never watch WWE programming ever again. And it'll teach everybody else a lesson. Keep the fandom to a minimum on social media. She ain't going out with you, bro. Just like all these other fucking geeks. Deville and Mandy Rose and Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. Don't even get me fucking started. Jesus Christ, man. These people on social media, man, they are the very definition of fucking no-life degenerates. Holy shit, man. You give everybody in the wrestling community, I find it funny how everybody says that about me. You give the wrestling community such a terrible name. Holy shit, man. Just keep it to, you're a fan and that is it. They ain't going out with you. They're not coming to your fucking bar mitzvah. They're not coming out to dinner with you. They're not going to the fucking prom with you. Give me a break with this shit, man. I hope this guy, Philip Thomas II, gets literally everything that is coming to him, plus some, so it teaches everybody in the community a lesson. Don't be a fucking loser. WWE seemingly has assembled a team to find a way to run Raw and SmackDown events at outdoor venues. Oh, no more ThunderDome, apparently. The ThunderDome seems to be going away at the end of October. Oh, I thought it was supposed to bring this immersive, interactive experience, and the ratings were supposed to go up. They seemingly have gone down. Monday Night Raw drew one of the worst ratings in the company's history on Monday night. And don't tell me it's because of the NFL fucking Monday Night Football shit. Give me a break, man. WWE has assembled a team to find a way for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to be outdoor, obviously, in the state of Florida. WrestleVotes sent out a tweet this week noting that WWE has put a team together in order to find a way to have weekly television events at outdoor venues. Perhaps this could be a way for WWE to have fans back at their shows. They say on Twitter, and I quote, "Over the past week or so, WWE assembled a small team to figure out if running TV from outdoor venues would be feasible once the ThunderDome contract expires. Idea is both SmackDown and Raw would be in the same location each week. Southern states with good weather is the preference. All to be determined," end quote. All I know is I hope WWE has some people, some talented people in place to find a venue, man. I cannot, for the life of me, sit through another Raw or SmackDown episode with this constant loop of fake crowd noises, man. I can't stand it. It is awful. It doesn't sound good at all. In fact, it is quite obnoxious while watching an overly terrible program on Monday and Friday night. I hope that they know what they're doing. Now, I don't know what type of venues they're looking for. I don't know or have the slightest idea of outdoor venues. Maybe they could use a baseball stadium. I have no clue. I have no clue whatsoever. Being that WWE has had the Royal Rumble in baseball stadiums for the last 2 years, WWE may be looking to rent out a baseball stadium for the remainder of the winter in Florida to kind of coincide with the Royal Rumble, and then obviously that would be a little bit more feasible with the off-season of MLB, and then by the time spring training starts, maybe WWE would be back in regular venues with fans, and we can put all of this behind us. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that one, but I'm not holding my breath. I don't know. A baseball stadium maybe seems likely. Maybe Miami Marlins. Maybe Tampa Bay. I don't know, man. Seems to be Tony Khan has the perfect venue for everything going on in AEW. Vince, as always, trying to play catch up with AEW. And you know that is the case because AEW has WWE on strings. Simone Johnson. Simone Johnson, The Rock's daughter, is set to undergo surgery this week. Johnson noted on Twitter that this will be her third knee surgery. She tweeted out, "So tomorrow I'm having knee surgery for the third time. As not fun as surgery is, I'm looking forward to my knees not popping out anymore. That said, please send me some video game suggestions, some movie suggestions, preferably scary." I got something scary for you, Simone. You don't need no fucking movie recommendations. Just watch Monday Night Raw every Monday on the USA Network from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. You can't get any more scarier than that. Or anything else to help pass the time. End quote. Man, that's some pretty bad luck right there. 3 knee surgeries before she does anything at all NXT related. I hope she has a speedy recovery. I hope this isn't too much of a setback for herself. But my God, man, you already know that WWE is going to make her the next in line to take over that women's division. Anybody else that's on that roster right now, forget about it, man. Not only do you got Charlotte Flair to contest with, but now you got Simone Johnson? Give me a break, man. The next queen is upon us. And you already know that WWE is setting up Ric Flair's daughter versus The Rock's daughter at WrestleMania 40. You know what's coming, man. I'm just saving you the next 3 years. So hopefully it's not too much of a setback. I am very interested to see what she does. Hopefully she has it within her to do what her father did at such a high level. We will see, and hopefully the knee surgeries do not cause much of a setback for Simone Johnson. We got some WWE pay-per-view schedule changes here, folks. WWE has changed the date for the upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view event. Originally, the show was supposed to take place on November 1st. However, Dave Meltzer reported in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that the show has been moved up a week, which means now the show will take place on October 25th. This is the same weekend as Impact's Bound for Glory pay-per-view and UFC 254 that is headlined by Khabib versus Justin Gaeth. If I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry for all the UFC enthusiasts out there. I don't watch. Both shows will take place on Saturday night. Meltzer speculated that the reason for the date change may be because of WWE's deal with the Amway Center ending soon, and that ends on October 30th, as it would be much simpler to do it with the current setup instead of having to take it down, move the set, and move it to a different location. It could be argued that WWE could do an extension with the Amway Center to host shows from the venue for a few more months, which I completely think they're going to do. But there's no word on whether WWE will stay at the Amway Center or move to a different location after the end of October. Clash of Champions goes down September 27th, Survivor Series November 22nd, and TLC on December 20th. That is the remainder of WWE's pay-per-view calendar. But Meltzer said it. I don't need to reiterate it. The reason for the date change is because of a possibility they will not be able to re-up with the Amway Center. Better do it then instead of breaking everything down and worrying about a venue for the next pay-per-view. So that is the reason why WWE has changed up the original date for Hell in a Cell. This next story is an exclusive from Ringside News former WWE United States Intercontinental NXT Universal Champion, you name it. Kevin Owens is a decorated champion. Kevin Owens is also a frustrated WWE Monday Night Raw superstar. He is legit frustrated with WWE Creative at the moment. Kevin Owens is usually an agreeable person, and he's liked backstage. Owens is respected for his hard work and dedication to not only the business, but the WWE. He also loves pro wrestling and grew up a fan before climbing his way into the WWE through the indies. Ringside News has exclusively learned that the stress for Kevin Owens has changed his demeanor backstage. He is not the same happy Kevin Owens he used to be in this situation. A member of the creative team with knowledge of the situation has told Ringside News, and I quote, "He's just pissed off by his inconsistent pushes, but it has made him a total asshole in some respects," end quote. Now, when they asked if the reports of positive backstage morale also included Kevin Owens, we were given a question in response. And I quote, "How has the atmosphere been around Kevin Owens? He's not been happy, and that promo on Raw Talk was a lot more shoot than some fans thought." Now, you're probably wondering what that means. There was a report which we'll go over on the podcast this weekend that backstage morale has been up since WWE moved out of the Performance Center and into what they are now calling the ThunderDome because it brings a sense of normalcy. Owens was previously concerned by the way WWE was following their coronavirus protocols. They weren't following anything at all. They weren't following CDC mask guidelines or social distancing guidelines. He spoke to Vince McMahon and said that if it doesn't change, he is going home, and Kevin Owens is the direct reason why things changed inside the Performance Center after WWE had a big outbreak on the roster of COVID-19. Kevin Owens is frustrated. What about the fans? The fans are frustrated as well. The fans have been frustrated with WWE Creative. This is nothing new. I don't need to go over what the show is doing on Monday and Friday night. You guys know. Every time you turn into the live stream, I'm complaining about something, and I don't want to anymore. But Kevin Owens, this guy, remember when he was feuding with Shane McMahon? Remember last year, I think it was last year, didn't he cut that promo on SmackDown about everybody not getting a chance? And he was being the rebel of the WWE locker room. He was the most over WWE superstar in the entire company. And they didn't even do anything with him that was out of the box. They just took what was already wrong with the show, told Kevin Owens to complain about the things that were blatantly wrong with the show, and made it into a storyline. And that got over. Why did it get over so well? Because everybody knows, everybody knew he was right. And then Kevin Owens, he ends up on Monday Night Raw. Look at this year alone. Look at Kevin Owens in this year alone. He was in a tag team with Samoa Joe that I had big high hopes for. That could have been great. I thought that would have fit them well. It would have fit the tag team division well. Maybe not so much being that there's no tag teams, but it would have fit them well. It would have fit the division well. They could have ended up doing a feud between both of them because they're just two real tough guys. One of them's got to be a babyface, one of them's got to be a heel, and they both play both of those roles incredibly well. It would have been a fun storyline to really dive into if they did end up a tag team and winning the tag team championships on Monday Night Raw. Feuded with Seth Rollins in the beginning of the year, then Joe got hurt, then he got lost. He was back to feuding with Rollins going into WrestleMania. That was, as far as the promos go, really, really good stuff. The match was probably the best match outside the cinematic shit with The Undertaker and AJ Styles. The best actual in-ring match on the two-night event that was WrestleMania 36 inside the Performance Center. He had a WrestleMania moment for himself. He came off really well in that documentary, highlighting WrestleMania on the 24 documentary this year. He's just a likable guy. He's a guy that everybody wants to see pushed. And then after that WrestleMania match with Rollins, he has done absolutely nothing. I mean, every single fucking week, WWE shows you that they have no plans for Kevin Owens because every fucking week, he's in a KO show segment. That's the best you got for Kevin Owens? You signed this guy for 5 fucking years to do KO shows? Then he was going to feud with Rollins again because Mysterio was in the middle of contract negotiations. He re-signed with the company. Then they took Owens out of the Rollins feud again. He was in the Mysterio-Rollins feud for a little bit. Then they took him out. Now he's feuding with Aleister Black. Over what? I don't know. Maybe Aleister Black was working Hot Topic. And he overcharged Kevin Owens on a fucking band t-shirt. I don't know. Aleister Black's got his own fucking problems. He looks like fucking Solid Snake out there. This is bullshit. Inconsistent. That is fucking the understatement of the century. Inconsistent. Kevin Owens is legit frustrated with creative. So are we. Get in my boat. I'll start rowing. Legit frustrated. Do something with the guy. Do something with him. He's so multi-talented, he could play any role you want him to play. And in between, he's got it. A babyface, he's got it. A heel, he's got it. But WWE is so low on everybody, at the end of all of this, there's going to be nobody left to push. Andrade, no good. Garza, no good. Humberto! Carrillo, no good. Aleister Black, no good. Ricochet, no good. Ali, no good. Kevin Owens, no good. At the end of all of this, if Bruce keeps fucking Xing these guys off, there's gonna be nobody left to push. What do you want? What could we do to assist you here, Bruce? I don't understand it. Why are you giving these guys contracts, multi-million dollars, and you don't have any plans for them? Why are you shelling out these contracts? Why are you making a big deal about these guys doing this and that and this and that? And then you can't do the one single thing that you've been put in this company to do, and that is write television. How do you fuck it up? How? I think I read a report that Heath Slater even got in on the Keith Lee bash, and Keith Lee's another one, man. I'm going to add his name to the fucking list. Limited Keith Lee. Heath Slater from Impact Wrestling says, I got 15 fucking ideas for the guy. How are you already fucking him up? Legit frustrated with WWE Creative. KO, bro, let me tell you something, man. Get in line. There's a lot of people that are frustrated. I don't know how. Everybody I mentioned, you could fucking fuck up creatively in one snap of a finger, man. Vince McMahon really is Thanos. One snap of a finger, and everybody goes away. Kevin Owens needs to be on TV more in a proper capacity, as well as everybody else. Maybe not Humberto. I think Titus loves him on Tuesday nights in catering. Even though there's no WWE show on Tuesday night, you guys get my point. But Kevin Owens and everybody else mentioned in this report, man, they have to be used better. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing, man? Seriously. There really is going to be nobody left to push on Monday night. And then the draft is going to come. And then Bruce is already on Monday night. He's on Friday night. So no matter where these fucking people go, if Bruce Pritchard's not a fan of you, you're not going anywhere on Monday or Friday night. I think there's one thing we know here, folks, and it's the one fucking thing that needs to happen. Never mind Vince McMahon. Bruce Pritchard needs to fucking go. He needs to be terminated. He seems to be the root of all this fucking problem. Never mind Vince McMahon. We know he's the fucking problem. He's the head of the snake. But we can't cut that head off. We can't get rid of Vince. Bruce Pritchard is the one facilitating all of this because he says something to Vince, and then Vince is going to listen because he's number one in line for cocksucking Vince McMahon. Bruce Pritchard needs to go. Absolutely. There's one thing that we learned here, folks. It's Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard needs to go. I don't even know if that is the reason or that is the way for Monday Night Raw to be good. I don't know anymore. But Bruce Pritchard seems to be dipping his hand into the cookie jar a little bit too much If Bruce doesn't know the product or its performers well, he should have absolutely no fucking say on what happens. Yet this guy's leading both armies on Monday and Friday night, and we are getting the shows that we are getting. Go figure. Eliminate the root of the issue. Eliminate Bruce Pritchard. And in the final news story on this big, newsworthy episode of Off The Script Extra, WWE star Lana threatens to leave social media due to cyberbullying affecting her mental health. And she tweeted out, and I quote, as you guys see there on screen, "It's crazy to see that I can post a video on my IG and get so much hate and cyberbullying comments, and then Natalia can post the same video and everyone says it's the best TikTok ever. It's the same video that I made. Why are you all such bullies to me? If all of you keep coming at me in cyberbullying ways, the entire household of @2bmiro and my social medias will be turned off." Oh my God, man, I'm gonna lose fucking sleep knowing that Lana deactivated her fucking social media. Mental health is the most important. Cyberbullying can really affect someone's mental health. Please have respect and stop cyberbullying me. Lana has millions of followers all over social media between Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. She just celebrated reaching 1.1 million followers on TikTok. And she made headlines because WWE seemingly brought down the edict and the banhammer of third-party policies because they noticed that she was promoting Bang energy drinks via her Instagram page. And people blamed her for that. Meltzer blamed her and said that she was the cause of all of this, and everything happened with Meltzer. She blasted Meltzer, Miro blasted Meltzer, whatever. It is what it is, folks. Listen, I don't give a fuck about Lana's TikTok. I don't give a shit about her Instagram page. I don't give a fuck about anything she does on TV. But stop cyberbullying. Stop being a piece of shit. If you don't enjoy Lana's content, here's a simple fucking concept, folks. If you don't give a shit about Lana, then don't follow her on social media. She clearly has a fan base for what she's doing. If you enjoy what she does, then enjoy it and accept it. If you don't, there's no reason to go on social media and be a fucking asshole. It's very simple. Very simple. But instead of fucking worrying about these geeks, these no-name fucking bots on social media with a fucking Alexa Bliss avatar and a Shotzi Blackheart header on Twitter, maybe you should talk about your husband. And talk to your husband about mentioning brass rings and glass ceilings and being all elite on TNT, because I don't know how that's going to further your career in WWE, so maybe you should ask him to tone it down just a little bit on Wednesday nights. That's what you should really be concerning yourself with. Not these fucking geeks and these social degenerates on social media. Don't be a fucking asshole. Plain and simple, folks. And I'm getting out of here. Follow me on Twitter, @JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Links to everything else you might have missed this week down below in the description. And hit that subscribe button, man. Very important. Hit that subscribe button and become of JD's Elites. Guys, I am getting out of here. I'll see you guys right back here for the live stream on Friday night for SmackDown. I got major news on Braun Strowman and major news, a possible spoiler for Jey Uso and Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions. I'll see you guys on Friday night for Off The Script.